And welcome back to the Anime Enthusiast Podcast. I am Zack. Joining me today, we have Mason.
Hello.
And Mr. Rin.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about our three anime, three specific ones. We're going to be talking about the one that brought us into our love of anime because we are all nerds.
Very true.
Mm-hmm. We're going to be talking about one we can always binge, one we can come back to and watch, and you still remember every part of it, but you love watching it all the time. And then a guilty pleasure, the guilty pleasure anime. So I'm expecting spicy takes.
Spicy.
And does anyone want to start?
I guess I can start off. The anime that got me into anime, I think we've talked about it definitely recently, but like one of the first conversations I had with Zack about anime and stuff like that was Devil May Cry.
Ooh.
Devil May Cry is a part of the Devil May Cry series. It's officially canon to the video game storyline. Mm-hmm. Every episode seems episodic, but like it's kind of like an overarching arc that you could see it as like different chapters in the video game, but no filler. So like it seems kind of out of place at times. Mm-hmm. But the animation in it is very crisp, clean. All the fight scenes are very like short, concise, but powerful. And the intro, guitar riff in that is just so, so nice.
It also lends that it's only 12 episodes, so you really can't like fill it out with anything more. Everything kind of makes sense in the whole show. It's so good.
It's really enjoyable.
It's so good.
Yeah. I haven't watched it. Mm-hmm. How would you pitch that to me?
If you've ever played the Devil May Cry series or played any of the games, it's done by the voice cast of the video games. Okay. So like all the voice actors from the video games are also the ones from the anime. If you're looking for something that is kind of episodic, but like has a vague overarching plot and you want to see some nice sword fights, some gun fights, and just some really interesting like demon-esque stuff. It's a really like early 2000s like art style, I would say. Mid 2000s.
It's not quite CGI and it's not quite hand-drawn. It's kind of that mixed, like, I guess it's computer graphic, but they don't do the lazy animation style. Everything is animated in and of itself. The art style is really well detailed. It is in and of its own genre. I mean, the first...
What would it look like the Into the Spider-Verse movie? Almost?
No. I mean, Into the Spider-Verse is just, it's because it's so...
cinematic masterpiece.
Well,
okay. I kind of get what you mean. Maybe I got to check out Devil May Cry. What's the world like? Or what really drew you in is what I'm asking.
So I think because like I played the games. And I was looking up like, what's the next game? And they're like, have you seen the anime? I was like, well, I've seen like bits and pieces of Naruto, Bleach, like all the standard stuff from our childhood and stuff like that, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! And like I was like, all right, like I guess I have nothing to do, and like they just added it on Netflix, and that was the big thing. And I was middle schoolish, I would say. I don't know why it just seemed to resonate with me. The guitar solo just like hit me to the core, and then like the lighting in it is very nice, like because it's like that 2000s lighting, so like you can see what's going to happen depending on the lighting. Like if somebody's about to die or something, kind of like John Wick.
Yeah,
like how they have that artistic lighting, but like it's
like there's themes to the lighting.
Yeah, like the brighter lights could be like, yes, this person is like safe, but also there's something looming behind them, kind of thing.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean.
The character design, Dante, because it is truly Dante, is stoic. He's funny. He has his love of strawberry milkshakes, which is a running gag through the whole thing. The monster designs.
His sword is probably one of my favorite things. The design of it, the shadowing on it is very crisp and clean, and like all the swiping he does, all the stabbing, all the shooting he does, everything just seems to have a reason, I guess.
It was definitely one of the first shows I binged when I found it randomly, and I remember I knew about the games. I couldn't play the games because my parents adhered to the ESRB ratings. Darn you for listening. But I could watch the show because the show was
TV-14.
Well, yeah, my parents didn't know what anime was, so
there you go.
Yeah, and you find that easy stream, and I've definitely rewatched it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I just recently binge watched it when I was watching some Twitch streams of Devil May Cry, and I was like, oh man.
So do you watch the dub or sub?
I watched it dubbed because I played the video games. If you play the Japanese video game or the English video game, depending on what voice you want, is the same voice cast for either or.
Oh,
so if you play the game in the Japanese, you have the Japanese actors doing the anime, vice versa.
What about you, Zack?
I've done both.
Done both.
Yeah, and I believe the anime is officially licensed by Capcom.
Yes, right? It is officially canon. It happens between I think 4 and 5.
Yeah, since Capcom technically owns the rights to the show, they've done a really good job with both. Dante's voice actor in dub is definitely my favorite. That cocky, it's the cockiness that comes off in the English accent. I think the Japanese voice actor does a really good job, don't get me wrong. And I have no problem reading subtitles for anyone that's going to flame me for not liking sub, because that's usually what I watch.
Yeah.
But just like with Dragon Ball Z, I like the dub.
Yeah.
All right. And that was the anime
that was the one that got me really into it.
Oh wow.
And then that also introduced me to Gurren Lagann like 2 weeks later, and that one holds a special place in my heart. But like for the one that I always come back to, I've binge watched. I even driving over here, I was debating between the two, but I'm gonna go as a basic bitch. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. The world building in that thing is just so great, and the animations and the characters and everything is the story. Everything holds up. Like, because I was also debating between SAO, because like I've watched the first season of SAO so many times, and then grazed through the Elfheim arc, and then
well, you don't
GGO.
like the pointy ears?
No, it's not the pointy ears.
Pointy earist?
It's like there's like it seems like bam, Kirito gets in the bridge scene where he turns into the beast. That boss that he soloed.
And then Gleam Eyes,
and then the tower. Like, it just seems like there are points missing in my memory that like I didn't really care about.
It really feels like they just switched up writers in the middle of that show.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Well, it's also the reason why no one likes that arc. Like,
Yeah. So best, most hated villain I've ever seen, Kirigari.
You're talking about the main,
Kaiba, Akihiko Kaiba.
yeah.
Kaiba.
okay.
Kaiba.
Yeah, so it's really interesting that the anime that got you started into anime, right? Something gritty. I don't know if it's the same for Zack, but for me, I know 100% it was Attack on Titan. Because we all grew up watching like Pokemon, Naruto, Dragon
like
Ball
everybody
Z.
watched it, but like to
everyone
really
watched
like
it.
connect is like
And
something different.
And this wasn't until like my freshman year of high school. That's when the first season of Attack on Titan came out, and when I watched it, I was like, "Oh my god, this is anime!"
Yeah.
Wait. Attack on Titan was your first year of high school?
I think so.
Fuck, I was in college. All right, continuing on from me continuing to bald and mauled. So AOT,
Yeah,
what
AOT.
brought you into it?
So I was a drama kid.
Same.
Everyone in the drama department already watched anime, especially like our upperclassmen. So they would always tell us like, "Oh, you should watch this, you should watch that." And usually they would kind of differ from each other, but this was the only show that they all collectively were just like, "You need to watch this. You got to watch this. Everything about it is great. This, and that. There's the blood, and there's really badass characters, and oh my god, you just got to watch it." And I'm just like, "Okay, okay, fine."
Yeah.
It came out on Netflix. And I just sat down, threw on the first episode, and once I got through the first episode, my jaw was just open, and I was like, "I need to watch more."
I think I know the moment that you're talking about. That your jaw drop. Was it when they zoomed in
very
on,
end?
Yeah, when they zoomed in on Aaron's eye.
Yeah,
Like just the detail in the that.
See,
One of the most visually stunning shows I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, for me, it was
The munching.
for me it was the representing blood with flower petals.
Oh yeah, that
To me, that was really powerful, and I still think it's super powerful today. Like, well, first of all, it's just a super clever technique.
Yeah.
And it's really bittersweet in the moment because it's a bunch of blood, but it looks like a bunch of beautiful flowers just going through the wind. But yeah, ever since then, I read the manga for Attack on Titan. I keep up with it monthly, and I'm really excited for season 4. So
Yeah.
They just need to release the show with the Game of Thrones plot armor. You don't have plot armor.
you don't have plot.
No. You can and will die.
Every character is subject to death.
I remember how many people gave up on the show the second that Titan chomped off Aaron's arm, and everybody's like, "Oh, fuck the show."
Was
I'm
that episode
out.
4?
4 or something like
I
that.
think it was 5.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
It was like the first big battle.
Yeah. Actually, I know for sure it was 5. Episode 5.
I think it was the first time you couldn't predict plot armor.
Yeah.
And that's not rare, but at least for anime it can be. Early Naruto, Bleach, Inuyasha.
Gurren Lagann had a really like oh, you think you're special? Nah.
Especially Berserk.
Oh my God.
Berserk. Like
Jesus.
no one could tell what the hell was going on. Who was going to
Nobody
live? who's
still
gonna-
can.
No,
Yeah, that's true.
And now that they've switched animation styles, everyone's like, oh, I don't care anymore.
Well, yeah, even reading it is like apparently a lot farther. Like I've poked in or read it. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? I thought you died. I thought he's dead. Like,
Yeah.
why are you back? What is happening?
Yeah, that's the thing with like Attack on Titan. I noticed like with all these other shows, especially the manga, there have been such long hiatuses where the only hiatus with Attack on Titan was a 5-year gap between season 1, season 2.
Yes.
Well, that was a time jump. There was
No, like literally.
literally 2013 to 2018.
Okay, you're talking about. Okay, I thought you were talking about the mangas,
the physical
skip.
time we experience.
Okay, I thought
Yeah.
because
But that entire time, the manga was still going, and it's only gotten better and better, in my opinion. Me watching the anime was the introduction for me to anime. The same thing with the manga. It introduced me to what manga is.
Yeah.
And I just got picked up by Attack on Titan, and I'm still running with it.
yeah,
There is a sub and a dub for that, right?
Yes.
You don't watch the dub, I'm assuming.
No.
Yeah.
no,
I have reasons.
That's fair.
It's purely because the main character, the English voice actor for the main character, I don't think he does a good a job as the Japanese counterpart.
I think that happens in a lot of shows. There's something about English as a language that it's very boring.
Yeah.
In Japanese, I feel like I hear more expression of emotion, or I feel more of expression of emotion,
Yeah.
even though I'm looking at words on a screen that I'm reading because I don't understand Japanese.
But you can hear the afflection and what's going on with that person's
Yeah.
voice. Like I, as a Japanese speaker, I hear all of this going on top of understanding what's going on. It just sells it way more for me. And although I understand English, I can speak English pretty fluently.
Oh God, you weren't speaking Japanese this whole time?
No, you got, wait, podcast listeners can't read the subtitles?
Yeah, sorry guys.
Anyway, to me, it just sounds cringy almost, the English counterpart.
Yeah.
like in general or just Aaron?
Just Aaron.
Just Aaron.
Yeah,
Just Aaron. Oh, okay. Fair enough. I mean,
Like the Mikasa English counterpart voice actor, she does a terrific job, and I think she sells the character quite well. Same thing with Levi.
yeah.
Erwin, he does pretty good. Like pretty much the whole cast is pretty good to me, except for Aaron.
Yeah.
Which is really funny because when an abridged series on YouTube came out, which is like a parody version of it, right?
The Team 4-Star one?
Yeah. That Aaron English voice actor was way better
Yeah.
than who was casted for the official English release.
Yeah. And Team 4-Star does a really good job for like all their things. They just started a Dr. Stone one like 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't watch abridged. You guys always tell me to, especially DBZ.
The Dragon Ball one is just so funny. If you go back and watch classic Dragon Ball Z, because they've had so many different iterations of it. Budokai, Kai, Z.
Yeah.
Vegeta's voice actor, the way he does Vegeta every single time, each rendition is better. So if you go back and listen to the original Vegeta voice actor versus what he's doing now, wildly better. They take the best parts of what's happening in Super and they use that kind of style for Vegeta. And also Piccolo, he does all of his meditation scenes. Okay, well now this is just a bunch of dead frames of him just staring off to something because we couldn't figure out what to do. Team 4-Star does really well is anytime Piccolo absorbed a person, that's now a permanent voice in his head.
Oh no.
So he can like have all these conversations whenever he's talking to somebody. So that dead frame space is now like it helps.
Used up.
Yeah, used up and tells his motivations and stuff like that.
Zach, what got you into anime?
Oh, dude, I've been watching anime for a long time.
Yeah, but what started it all?
So I want to say Toonami back in the day when they used to throw all those on there. You know, I was the kid that went on Fox Kids TV at Saturday morning at 8 in the morning.
Sonic X, baby.
man.
Bro, those shows. But I wanted to watch Naruto, and I never was able to watch all of it together. So I went and tried to find a streaming website, right? And on this website, I see this show. And at the time, I was in high school and I was playing football. It caught my eye, and it was called Eye Shield 21.
Oh, I had a feeling you were going to say that one.
Listen, man.
Look,
Listen.
I play football too. Like
I'm not familiar with it. I'm going to just guess. Is it a football anime?
No, it's actually badminton.
Oh, dang.
No, it's football. Anyways, no.
So what was the title of this anime again?
So in the Japanese is Ice Shield Nijuichi or Ice Shield 21.
Yeah.
Which is just simple because his number is 21.
Yeah.
And he wears
And his name is Nijuichi?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's Kobaya Kawasena.
Oh. So his name's not the number?
No.
Nijuichi?
Yes. Because he has this incredible ability to just run really fast, and that's it. That's the start of the show, and it's his growing up throughout the entirety of, I think it's 140 episodes or something like that.
Something like that. Great
For some reason,
character confidence building show.
yeah, but for some reason their quarterback always has machine guns, and whenever he's pissed, he just starts shooting them in the air.
What?
Yes, he looks like the
He looks like the devil.
He looks like the devil.
Is this
Their football team
this
is something
what-
the Devils, right?
the Devil Bats.
Yeah, Devil
the
Bats.
the Daemon Devil Bats.
Is this how Japan thinks of American football?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, they
100%.
no, at one point in the middle of the show, they go to America and they do this death march, right? It's a 2,000-mile trek of them just training to do different things. The main character's learning how to
Juke.
basically he's learning how to do a short step juke. The linemen are pushing a truck for 2,000 miles.
Oh Jesus.
But it's quintessential anime, right? Anime protagonist starts out, he's really powerful for the low level he starts. Then he gets destroyed.
The scaling is just
Yeah.
wax him on his ass.
Pretty much. And then they start recruiting more friends. They get this guy, his name's Raimon Taro, but they call him Monta because they're Joe Montana. Yes. And he looks like a monkey. And so the running gag is he looks like a monkey, and that's, continues through the whole thing, but he's a great receiver. The whole of the show is they're trying to figure out this kid's identity because he's this unknown school who has this star athlete that nobody knew about because
Except
he was
for
like
two people on the team. The original three members of the team were him, the quarterback, and the center.
Yeah, I played center, and so I weirdly enough identified with
The big boy.
the big boy because I was that fun-loving kind of just joking around dude that like cared about the sport, cared about winning. I don't know. There's a lot of good feels. There's a lot of good comedy, a lot of running gags they reuse. But the transition from traditional to anime was that, and that was the first time I ever actually did a sub.
Oh.
Because the rest I watched was dubbed Toonami.
Yeah. Was it weird for you watching sub for the first time?
No, because I can read.
Interesting.
Yeah, I got over the 1-inch barrier of subtitles.
It's funny that you bring up the 1-inch barrier of having to read. It's really gotten to the point, especially in my household, where we just have subtitles on all the time.
Yeah, my dad's the only one that doesn't like subtitles.
Really.
I mean,
Yeah.
I do subtitles for English shows.
Yeah.
There's sometimes where they just like whisper something, but I also like when it's closed captioned, death scream or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Panics in Spanish.
Yeah. But going back to my point, if you don't, or if you have never, sports anime are lit.
Kuroko no Basket is the best basketball.
Kuroko no Basket is DBZ, the basketball show. They're just constantly powering up. Haikyuu is one of my favorite sports shows. Ace of Diamond, Hajime no Ippo, Hiro no Sora,
Hajime no Ippo is
Slam
so
Dunk. Like, there's a ton.
Free.
Free. That one,
Sure.
yeah, it redefined how a lot of anime does water.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
the water is so pretty in that
Yeah.
show. Yowamushi Pedal is a cycling show.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one. What was the tennis one? The good tennis one that was like King
Prince
of
of, Prince of Tennis?
There's like Prince of Tennis and like Ace of Court or something like that.
Oh, I only know Prince of Tennis, which was another one that I loved watching. I mean, I have the hardback manga of that one.
So now that we've covered the animes that first got us into watching anime in the first place, we're going to take a short break. So this is the time to pause, get what you need, grab a snack, maybe grab some water.
Stay hydrated.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope you enjoyed your water. We're going to get right back into it. So, Zach, you were the last person talking, so why don't you talk about the show that you really enjoy rewatching a lot?
It's kind of hard to rewatch this one because when I think of rewatching a show, I try to find one that's 12, 24, maybe 36 episodes. But my most rewatched show and one I always like going back to, because there's a lot of things I always miss, is D. Gray Man. The story of Mr. Alan Walker. For those that don't know, it's set in 19th century, not a lot of technology, not a lot of these like modern conveniences, but it has this war as this backdrop, right? Normal humans are going about their life, and then you have the demons, And demons are created when a person dies, or so like say a family member dies, right? And you are upset by this, and you pray to God. I don't. How could they have died? Usually, it's an unfortunate accident or a tragedy or something like that. And God's not the one that answers in this show. It's a lovely. How would you describe him? Like a goblin Humpty Dumpty?
Like a fat goblin with an umbrella and a top hat and a monocle.
So I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
So this is really funny to try to imagine.
The best thing is the umbrella talks. Is it Lero or Rero?
One of the characters calls it Rero, one of the main antagonists. She calls him there, and the Millennium Earl swaps between.
Yeah. The umbrella talks. It's a character in and of itself. Anyways, he shows up and he has this like metal suit, and you can call the person's spirit into that suit.
It's very much like a Iron Maiden.
Yeah. No, not an Iron Maiden.
Maiden?
Kind of like an exoskeleton or
At first I was imagining like a knight suit.
No, it's it looks like a skeleton. It's like a metallic skeleton.
Okay, you're talking
And
about
it goes
that part
around the
before.
person.
Okay.
Yeah.
It goes around the person?
No, the soul
goes
into
inside of it.
into it.
Okay.
And
The
then
soul's piloting it now.
what happens is it's the soul is now tainted because it's come back. And the Millennium Earl is actually using that. Then the person you bring back murders you and assumes your skin. And
What?
Yep. And now an Akuma is born, a demon.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Depending on how strong your soul is,
Depending on how strong your soul is and how many people you kill and consume.
you get a stomp.
And that's the premise of D. Gray Man.
That's the antagonists.
Okay.
And then the protagonists are the exorcists. And they are the holy warriors that fight against these demons. And you follow a young kid. His name's Alan Walker. He has trained under one of the generals. There's 4 of them in this show. And it's his story and trying to figure out the problem, what's going on, trying to solve the demon epidemic. And I think the powers are very unique. They're based on the person, the personality. There's one lady that can control time. There's one dude that uses piano strings to fucking slice and dice motherfuckers. And then his particular power is he can create a gauntlet, like literal iron claw gauntlet out of his hand.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's based around this essence system. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So what is it about the show that keeps you coming back?
I think there's a couple things that keep me coming back. Okay. The fights never get old. There are filler which get boring, and you can skip around those. I think above all, though, it's the characters.
Yeah.
The antagonists
Hilarious.
are hilarious, but they're malicious.
Oh.
They're funny, and you're laughing, and you're like agreeing with some of the things you're saying, and then you realize, no, they're just killing people.
If you look at their motivations by themselves, they seem kind of justified. But for the antagonists to come into this world is a horrifying process.
Yeah.
They're called Noahs.
Yeah, based on the
Noah's Ark.
The Noah's Ark, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of symbolism.
Symbology.
The study
of symbols.
Yes, no, the symbolism.
Symbolism.
That like religious. There's a lot of so level 1. All of the demons look alike.
Yeah.
When they get to level 2, they take on a different shape, designs, whatever. They
Become
look
individualistic.
And then when they hit level 3, they kind of revert back and look very demonish. And then level 4, but level 4 isn't really shown in the show all that often.
Yeah.
How many seasons is this show?
So
there's a really long season.
There's 100+ episodes of the first run of the show. So the problem with D. Gray Man, well, I say problem. The original writer for the show got sick and wasn't able to finish a lot of the manga, so the show had to stop. Then they brought it back for another.
It's like 12 episodes or something like that.
I think it was either 12 or 24. So once the serialization comes back in, when the writer's feeling better, she finishes a little bit, and then the show is able to get run again. But I didn't like the second season. Hot take.
It's understandable because the power system that they use is called innocence. The innocence of God coming down on Earth, and the Earl, he's trying to destroy innocence. So like he can destroy innocence, and then that power is never being able to use again because he's trying to find the heart, which is the heart controls all other. It's like the control center. So if he is able to destroy that, then he destroys all innocence forever. So then he'll be able to just steamroll everything. But the entire purpose of the show is like they're trying to find people that can use innocence, and like maybe they have the heart, and like maybe you have the heart, and yada yada. There was a lot of back and forth, and then there's like an entity created by God to destroy both sides.
Yeah.
It got weird, and then like
it's very confusing. And I think the second run of the show, because I think the first 100 or so episodes, whatever they did that first time, that's like the first run of the show, and then it basically got like Family Guy. It got canceled, more or less, and then they brought it back.
So how many times have you watched it?
5, 6.
Wow, all 100 episodes of the first.
Yeah, so
it's
I
a
watched
very good background show.
I watched it through one time. The first time I ever watched it, and I sprinted through that show.
Now, Mason, is this your rewatch too, or
No, I have also a deep connection to the show because it was like one of the first things I read, and then I caught up to it, and I found out that the artist is sick and still very sick. So like, it used to be like, hey, it used to be a monthly chapter. It used to be weekly, and then it moved to monthly, and then there was a chapter every 6 months, and then I think we got one last year.
oh,
Yeah, so the person's getting better and sick, and you can see like, oh, here's 2 chapters. And the story that they're doing right now is very akin to a psychological thing because, as I mentioned earlier, the formation of a new Noah, because there's 13 Noahs.
yeah,
One is missing. So like they're trying to, that side is also trying to make that new Noah or reawaken that soul.
Got it.
So they're dealing with that, and like it's dark.
Yeah, and it starts out really like obviously the premise of somebody taking over your skin and assuming your body is kind of dark, but it starts out.
They play it off very light.
It's very light.
The power scaling in that show is also very good. Like up until like the end of that 100 episode arc, the main characters like Naruto episode 5 actually do really cool stuff. But like the slow and tedious climb that this character has, he gets his ass kicked more than a few times.
Yeah. 2006, 2008 was the original run. I think I watched it in 2008 or 9. Again, while I was searching for other shows, in between Ice Shield 21, I watched that. And then I probably watched it every few years after. 2016 was the rebirth.
And we were very excited about that.
And it didn't live, because I thought it was going to be another 100 episodes. It didn't live up to expectations for a lot of people. I'm hopeful.
The animation was really beautiful for the second season. Fight scenes were really cool, but the story was getting one of those lull points of when she got sick and she couldn't connect the dots of what she was doing correctly.
Yeah.
Like, you can really tell this is when she started getting sick.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Well, hopefully she gets better.
Yeah, I really hope so too, because it's a really good read.
Yeah. It's a really good show.
Yeah.
So if D. Gray Man's not your rewatchable too, Mason, what is your rewatchable?
So I touched upon it earlier, but Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is by far and away my most rewatch thing. Like to completion from start to end. I can never skip a second, never watch it. I think I'm on like my 12th watch of all 60 episodes, because there's 4 seasons, right? There's like 4. So it's about like 60-ish episodes. So the reason why I prefer Brotherhood over the normal version is because the original run of Full Metal Alchemist, not the Brotherhood version, they caught up to the manga very quickly, so they had to make side stories, and then they got some things, and then they just ran with the person's like, you're just going to keep, I don't want you to keep having filler arcs. So what they did is they made their own world with all the information that they had, and there's a distinct branch, which in Brotherhood is like the 3rd or 4th episode, so like it seems really early, but like it's a few chapters in, because Brotherhood is panel to panel almost the exact same to the manga. It's the truest adaptation that I've ever seen, other than My Hero Academia, because they only add on to the panels. Like they had a whole episode with Froppy that was literally a single panel, and they had a whole episode on that. So like they add stuff really well, but for Brotherhood, it was just very clear, concise. This is what the manga was. I read it when I was on a road trip one time, and I really connected with it because I really like science. The whole world is based on like, oh yeah, this is not superpowers or anything. Anybody could be this if they just sat down and learned life. The circle of life, all the elements that go into people, all the different things, and they don't have to scream out different attacks. They draw their alchemy circles, and whatever they want, like depending on the circle, they can create. It's kind of like the power of imagination. Like if somebody wanted to build a spear, it could be the same alchemy circle of their class, I guess, and then they can make a spear, or they can turn it into a fist weapon, or like whatever their style is. If you're doing fire, like depending on, you can change the velocity of the flames, how hot it burns, how wide. What if you're just trying to make a controlled fire, like a circle or something like that. Nobody is better than anybody, because you can always try to outthink your opponent and stuff like that. So it's really nice. The animation style is very good. The characters are extremely memorable. It takes place over a few years. So like at the very first episode, the characters are like 16, 14, 16, something like that.
16 and 14, aren't they? 2 years apart.
Yeah, 16, 14. Because it follows the two brothers, Edward and Alphonse Elric. And they're trying to regain their bodies because they have committed one of the ultimate taboos of the alchemy world.
What Mason just described is one whole episode.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
just one episode.
That's just one episode.
I thought this was
portion of an episode. There's a lot of backstory. Like there's a lot of fundamentals in the show, and then once you understand the fundamentals, you can like really enjoy the world building that they do, because everything's like, oh, like our TV broke, somebody call an alchemist.
Yeah.
Like, or a repair person. And like their society works off if somebody loses their arm, like in a war, because there's wars going off all the place.
Yeah.
You can get these automail arms or legs or appendages, and they connect to your nerves. And so like it's a fully metal arm that you can move your fingers with or touch your toes and stuff like that. So it's a real arm. You don't feel any pain with it, but like you can control it.
Yeah.
100%. The society is super advanced in parts, but also seems like it's in World War II.
It's a good show. The original still exists too, and if you were gonna watch both of the shows, I don't know if you have that much time on your hand. I don't have that much time on my hand, but if you were, say, had a couple days, weeks of time, definitely watch the first original series. And then go to Brotherhood. The updated visuals, the updated story. The first one's pacing is so slow. And
drags on.
It really does. And it doesn't hit a lot of the good main points that Brotherhood will bring up.
It's also very sad. It's a very depressing. The original run is very depressing. And the second one also has some very sad and deeply horrific parts in it. But like overall, the pacing's better. And to me, one of the best girls, has the most complete ending to any show I've ever seen in my entire life. The ending I was like, all right, I can ask for more, but like with this, didn't think I'd be able to get like this kind of an ending. This is just wraps up like a bow.
Nice.
Yeah, weirdly, I've never thought about it like that, but I was satisfied with that ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my personal favorite. Like, what about you,
Vin? See, I had to think about this. Because although I can just rewatch Attack on Titan over and over again, I really had to sit down and think about this. And I came up with Psycho-Pass.
Oh.
I love Psycho-Pass.
I love that show.
Psycho-Pass is also one of the few animes that I do recommend, both sub and dub. Mm-hmm. Every time I rewatch this show, I just get chills every time. Mm-hmm. Every time. I just love the way the world is built. I love the society that's set up around this whole system. If you don't know what Psycho-Pass is, it's like a Minority Report.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Basically, everyone has like a crime coefficient, and this number determines your mood hue. And depending on all these factors, what's going on in your head mentally, this artificial intelligence AI algorithm like thing determines whether or not you are susceptible of committing crimes or not, if you and labels you a criminal or not a criminal. Mm-hmm. The show, it focuses on the police force, which is set up in enforcers and detectives. Mm-hmm. And the detectives are in charge of the enforcers.
Why is that?
Because the enforcers are criminals.
Why are they on the police force then?
What?
Because there's a lot of reasons why they're on the police force, whether it be like their aptitude or what they did before the system got integrated. Because I know one of the enforcers, he was actually just a regular police officer, right? Before this AI system got introduced, and then suddenly
You just seen too much shit, and they're like, no.
yeah.
Because it's not about when you commit a crime. It's your
Possibly going to do it.
probability, right?
It's the it's like your intentions in the moment, what your mood right now, because it reads so much into.
Well, thank God this doesn't exist, because I think I would kill about 1,000
Well,
people at work
here's
a
the
day.
thing. If it existed today, I think the main thing with the gun is the most interesting part about it.
Yeah. So
you
there
can elaborate on that.
there's this special gun that can read a person's psychopaths. And basically they point it at the person and it wires that information through your hand into your eye.
Yeah.
Gives you a heads up display and tells you their crime coefficient, their mood hue, all this information. And the gun will not fire to kill somebody unless their crime coefficient is
High enough.
But other than that,
them or
it
learn
stuns
nothing.
them. Yeah.
Fascinating
It's a
concept.
really interesting concept. But what keeps me coming back is just the development of the characters. Because you have the main enforcer guy.
The main
Shinyo Kagami, something like that. And then you have the main detective girl. And, you know, this detective girl, she's just a complete newbie. She only got into the police force because she scored really high on an aptitude test after, like, college or something, right?
Yeah.
And she's just this very innocent person that's thrown into this really, really dark world. And she just has to learn the ropes, and she ultimately, you know, she introduces her own method of doing things, which is very different from what the senior inspector does, right?
Yeah. And then I think one of the best things that the show does is the way that the villain works
Oh yeah,
and like challenges the entire idea of the show that they based it everything off, which is why he's so dangerous. It's a really interesting concept. I highly recommend this show. Like if you like sci-fi or if you liked Minority Report, like go off and watch this show. This is anything to do with like what if situations, like is something that's very, very deeply enthralled into this show.
yeah. I would say if you like Death Note, you would love Psychopaths.
Death Note's really good. If you like cop shows or cop movies, that one it's also a really good one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a banger of a show.
It's a real banger of the show.
It also gives you a lot to think about too. Before it solves the problem, it gives you the chance to solve it yourself.
Yeah, I don't feel like I ever felt like it spoon fed me information.
Yeah.
You could glean a lot of information and it tells you, this is happening, but it's based on perspective. And the show does a really good job of holding all of its cards until it needs to.
Yeah, and even at the end of season 1, you still don't know a lot, everything.
Oh yeah, highly recommend it.
So that was your rewatched show.
Yep.
Ren, tell me, what's your guilty pleasure?
I'm excited. He's been avoiding the question the entire time.
Yeah, before recording, during recording.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier in the podcast, but my guilty pleasure anime is Free.
Oh, you did? Okay, yeah.
I should have known.
It's free. So we touched upon it earlier in the podcast, saying how it changed how anime does water. Basically, how it's animated, because you gotta come on. Does water great? Like it looks great. The way they show the lighting, how it disperses through the water, it's just phenomenal. That on top of a great story and 6-pack abs, like
Each main character is like based off of a marine animal.
Yeah. So you have.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, one of the guys is based off a shark. One guy's based off a dolphin.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this makes so much more sense.
Yeah, and their swimming style in which they compete.
Brain.
The swimming style in which they compete, and it's reflective of how they are as people, what animal they're based off of.
Yeah.
So it's a really funny story of how I got into this. All right, basically, I was in high school.
Yep.
There was a girl.
Of course, there's. We're guys.
She loved this anime. And she's like, "Oh, you've never seen this anime? We should watch it together." And I'm just
perfect
like, "Oh,
setup.
yeah. I'll watch this. Yeah. And somewhere along the line, it didn't work out between me and this girl, and
You just had to know what
like
happened
the
next.
anime.
Yeah.
I like the anime because I actually sat there and watched it, which was very surprising because all the information that I had known about this anime is that it was very yaoi, which is the word for male on male.
It's homoerotic.
Yeah, homoerotic, like Top Gun.
Yeah, you just hit a lot of people in the wrong nerve, huh?
Look, that volleyball scene.
It's not your fault.
It's not. Anyway, so there was just a lot of stuff that I was told about this anime, or led to believe too, that it was pretty much all about the guys and their six-pack abs and how attractive they are to the rest of the people in that world.
Yeah.
But then when I sat down and watched it, I'm like, whoa, these are like actual struggles between like a swim team that could be happening. Like this guy, he's like the top swimmer for freestyle swimming, but he lost his motivation. And his rival wants to beat him, but because this guy doesn't have any motivation, he can't take pride in winning. So he has to help him find his motivation, and because the whole thing was like, when they were kids, they were all like, "Yeah, I'm gonna compete in the Olympics," and that passion just faded away as soon as they got to high school age into college. But yeah, I genuinely enjoyed the anime. The characters are really funny.
Yeah.
Well, fun fact: all the characters' names are unisex names.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually a fun fact.
Yeah.
Like, so I got introduced to that show. I didn't really watch a lot of it. Like, I watched like the races, like the swing races.
Yeah.
Because I always grew up in the water. I was because my older sister introduced it to me. She was on the swim team, water polo. I did diving. I taught the swimming for the swim team for the other side.
Yeah.
Like, she was in the deep end. I was teaching people how to swim, who actually ended up becoming people in the military that like had to swim all the time, or people that ended up going to like college because they got a swim scholarship and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. But the show like seemed to hit my sister in a much deeper note than it did for me, because like I was like, during this time I was like, I think it was like the pain arc of Naruto. So like I was like horse blinders onto like fight, like all these different fighting shows or psychological shows. But like she likes more like slice of life kind of things.
Yeah.
And this show
is very much a slice of life.
Yeah, it's a very much slice of life kind of thing. And like the water, she like kicked down my door one night. She's like, "Hey, did you watch the show yet?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to watch the show. Like, I don't really watch a lot of slice of life stuff." Which I then, after the show, started watching some, and then like some of the almost all-time favorite shows. But she's like, "Just watch the water animation, because it has actually changed how all animation has changed for drawing water. And to this day, it's a global phenomenon. Like this, you can date back the change of water and the reflections and the ripples of water is because of this show and the engine that they created for the show. I appreciate what they have done for anime as a whole. Like if it does not go down as like a pivotal show, it should go down as a technological marvel.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, Free is also one of the first animes that in the Japanese dub, or the Japanese version, right? It's the first time I've seen foreigners portrayed, and there's actual foreign voice actors.
There's no English.
Yeah, I was about to say,
there's no Japanglish. It's English. There's English speaker. They're actually Australian.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, because he goes to Australia.
Yeah, he goes to Australia.
I've watched the show.
Like, I've only watched the race part, so I didn't know that part. That's fascinating.
Yeah,
like I appreciate that so much.
In short, basically, one of the characters transfers to Australia for their college scholarship, and they study in Australia.
Okay.
And the other character goes and visits and stays with the host family that is there. And I just remember this because it's just like this Japanese boy. He walks up to this Australian household. He tries speaking English to them, and it's like, oh, yeah, Japanese accent. Yeah. But then they reply, and it's just, "G'day, how you doing?" And it's like, what?
You're like, what the fuck?
What?
Oh, g'day. Are you Rin? Yeah, it's great. Let's come on into the house.
Yeah, pretty
Got
much.
some shrimps on the barbie.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
sorry, all of Australia.
I apologize.
All of Australia.
Yeah. I apologize.
But you're welcome, Australia, for showing you Free.
Oh, dear God.
But yeah, that's one of the things that always like irks me. Japanglish, it just, with a show like doing simuldubs. So for those that don't know, simuldubs is like the Japanese and the English version of the show come out at the exact same time, give or take a few hours or a day. They pretty much release at the same time. If they're doing that, why can't they? Somebody has to speak English, or they have to speak Japanese. If you flip the roles,
Yeah, why can't you?
why can't you just
pass
have
that
the
off?
other voice actor instead of having "Oh my god"?
Yeah.
like that was really shitty
It's-
Joseph Joestar, but like
I'm just thinking of Orisuke.
Oh,
yeah,
Bench Kun. Yeah.
we'll get to that eventually. But
eventually.
Oh, God.
But what are your guys' guilty pleasure anime?
I'll take this one.
you got it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Zach, tell us.
There are so many shows I have watched that I guilty pleasure. Testament of my devil sister. Could call High School DxD to the forefront.
Monster Musume.
Etchy.
Shut up. Mine's gonna be Beelzebub.
Oh,
If you've
of
never
the-
heard
one
of
of the
this
classics.
yeah, it's 2011. Real simple premise, but there's a little twist to it. So it follows one main character. His name is Oga or Ogre, is like what his nickname is, and he's a new high school student that's literally hailed as the greatest fighter, and he's going into a delinquent school because he has to, or because that's where he's gonna end up because he's just he's the whole
He's a
show.
troublemaker.
Yeah, they're all bullies though. They're all
it's a school full
They're
of
all
like people
dick kids.
kids.
They all have, something. And at this school, there's the top 4 fighters. And, he has to, it's typical anime, right? The twist, he has a baby with him the whole time.
Is it his baby?
It's not his baby. It is the new Demon Lord's baby. So
It's Satan's baby.
it's Satan's baby, Beelzebub.
For those of you who aren't so familiar with anime, the Demon King is a very common character.
They literally don't. Yeah, they just call it like hell is a real place to like in anime at all times.
There's a
The first episode, and this is why it's my favorite, is literally so this dude just literally gets done beating up a group of people by a river, right?
Yeah.
And as he's looking, there's a dude just floating down this river with a freaking twirly mustache, right? He saves the dudes in like pink boxer shorts and a wife beater, gets him out of the water, and he stands up, opens up his whole body to light, and then a baby just comes out. And the baby becomes attached to him. And that's the beginning of the show.
Oh my god.
what?
And literally, like, is my guilty pleasure because it's funny. It's the baby is a demon, right? So anytime he cries, he electrocutes the shit out of everybody. So there are literally points where he's like, oh, he's crying, and he tosses them at a group of people, and the baby just like shock grenades all of
Ingenuity.
Oh
them.
my gosh. Have you seen this, Mason?
I've read parts of it and I've seen bits and pieces. Like I saw this one part where they have a fight in a hallway with a girl with a sword and she's slicing
yes.
up windows and he's just
So
tossing the baby
she's-
around.
She's one of the four main bosses, and she literally is the leader of all of the girls. She got all of the girls in her school under her banner.
Something like a Valkyrie.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
basically. And she practices swords, and she's
Kendo
so
or something like that?
Yeah, no, it's like a legitimate sword style that like she's so strong she can cut through the school with a wood sword.
Oh, like concrete. Okay.
Yeah, she cuts through window, concrete, like perfect slices. And the whole point, you learn this in the first episode, so it's not really much of a spoiler, but the whole reason the baby is with Oga is because the baby needs the strongest, most evil person to grow up with. Because the Demon King doesn't want to. He literally
He's a deadbeat.
He's a deadbeat. He literally doesn't give a flying fiddlesticks about it. So he sends him off to him, and in Oga, what he does is he's trying to get beat by these 4.
Oh, he's just desperately trying to get
He's
out of the
trying to
situation.
get rid of him. And so in that fight, he technically is beating the I think her name's Kunikita. But he goes like, "Do you want this baby?" And she goes like, "Is he proposing to me?" Like typical anime like romance things.
As you would do.
Yeah, right. The show
you
only
know.
had, I think it was like a 2-year run.
I think the manga was going for a long run though.
Yeah, it's funny, it's quirky, there's cool fights, and the demon maid that comes with the baby
Oh yeah.
is super funny and like staying in the house. And so like everyone's like, and she like helps out, and his parents are like, did you get her pregnant? Is she like our child? Is this our grandbaby? It's like they have no idea what's going on.
Oh,
So why is this considered your guilty pleasure? Because I know for me with Free, there's a lot of weird stigma around it,
yeah.
and people don't really go to watch it. You know what I'm saying? So why is this considered your guilty pleasure anime?
The baby doesn't have a diaper on the whole time.
Oh,
They literally draw the baby dick
oh,
and the baby ass, and he'll like pee on. Like it's like, don't get me wrong, this isn't like super gross or like.
It's just like the
It's
two
just-
lines.
If somebody watched me watch it, they would be like, "What the fuck are you watching?" And I'm like, don't get me wrong, like it's a really good show, but I think I rarely talk about it. And
I don't think
it's
I've ever heard you talk about it.
Exactly.
We talk about it.
It's just one of those shows that like is in the recesses of my mind, and like I'll go back and watch an episode or two, but it's generally because of the nudity of the child, and I'm like, this is weird and uncomfortable, and I have to ignore that part of it, and they don't censor any of it.
what about for you, Mason? Guilty pleasure anime.
Okay, so this guilty pleasure anime is something that like I'll binge watch fights or arcs, not like entire shows, but this show like I've really only sat down once to like watch, but like I've watched like the last 4 episodes like time and time again whenever like. So it's called Familiar of Zero.
Familiar of Zero.
It is a very unknown show.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's people that do know it like it, but it came out in 2006.
Okay.
It was recommended to me by one of our mutual friends because I got in a really bad breakup. I was really sad, just trying to like figure out what to do. For me, it was like one of the darker places I've been. And he was like, hey, watch this show and then watch Toradora, because like they're very similar. Like if you've watched Toradora, like it's kind of like angry, small tsundere kind of girl.
Yeah.
Like is the main one of the main characters.
Well, what's a tsundere real quick?
A tsundere is a girl that's like, I hate you, baka, but secretly is like super in love with them, but like they can't express their feelings correctly.
For Westerners, that would be Helga from Hey Arnold.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Although she's kind of like a yandere sometimes of like, I will kill a motherfucker.
Yeah. Yandere is if I can't be with you, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, no one could be with you.
No one can be with you.
Yeah. So you were saying.
Anyways, so this show is kind of it's an isekai, and the isekai is transporting into a different world, regardless of like.
Have I watched this one? I'm trying to think because it sounds very familiar.
Here's a photo just so you have reference.
We'll go over different genres at a later episode.
Yeah. So what happens is this guy just walking down the street and then just sees like a circle, and he just rotates around and is like, what the fuck is this circle thing? Like, why is this like a floating disc like my size, like just the middle of the street, and nobody else can see it? So he pokes it, and then he just gets sucked into it. And then what happens is this world runs off magic, and this girl named Louise summons the main character, Saito, through this portal because she needed a familiar. Mm-hmm. Like normally they'd be like a snail or a lizard or like a dragon or something like that. She gets this dude. Mm-hmm. This dude just pops out. And this dude, whoa. And he just appears, and like he's just like, what the fuck just happened? And like he has now like rune glyphs on his hand, and he's like, I don't know what is happening in this world.
This is very reminiscent of How to Not Summon a Demon Lord.
Very. So, but what happens is they're like, all right, cool. You just have this useless piece of shit dude because you're a useless piece of shit mage. Because anytime she tries to make a spell, it just explodes.
Oh, she's one of those.
No, she tries. She's not trying. It just explodes, and then eventually you find out she's got a special kind of magic.
Okay.
Special kind of magic. But so she's just like, all right, cool. You're my familiar. I guess I have a butler as my familiar. Whatever. So she chains him up, like literally gives him a collar with a chain, with like chain links on it, drags him around, and he's like, what am I supposed to do? She's like, shut up, dog. And I'm like, okay, So this guy's just in for a horrible time. And then she doesn't see him as a human. Like, she's just like, yeah, you're just blah, whatever. So she'll just like be sleeping in her room. And he's like, I shouldn't be here. Like, girls and guys should not be sleeping together because like he's like 16 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like 16, 18.
Yeah.
Very like immature kind of guy. And he's like, she's like, why? You're not human. You're not a person. You're not going to do anything to me. And he's like, but I'm a guy. She's like, I don't give a shit. You sleep on the hay in the corner. This all happens in the first episode. But eventually they grow together. Like, he finds out that like any weapon he has pure mastery over weaponry.
Well, that's badass.
Yeah, so he just picks up a sword and he's just like, I don't know what to do, and he just does some crazy sword stuff. He's like, I guess I can use swords, and then they throw an axe at him, and he just uses an axe.
That's actually OP.
It's pretty OP. Like, he's a very OP character once you find out like his powers and stuff like that, and like then he gets a sword that can talk to him. Like, this hilt just moves like a mouth, and it's really funny. But like what happens is this world has just every so often just random portals will appear, and people get summoned to that world. And like a lot of Japanese people have been summoned to this world.
Coincidentally, a lot of Japanese people.
So there's this like village of like Japanese descendants.
Oh, okay.
So like it's a pretty main plot point, because the two girls that are always fighting over his attention is like eventually the Louise realizes like, I kind of have feelings for you, but like you're mine because you're my familiar. Like, I own you. She has that kind of mindset, but like is very jealous over him.
Yeah.
Like, because any girl that shows up there is like, oh, you're like different. Like, ooh. You're Japanese? Ooh, what's up? How you doing? And he's just like, I don't know what's happening. I'm just going to go over here with my stupid blue coat. And then he eventually finds this girl who's just a random maid. And it's like, why do you look like me? Like, are you Japanese? She's like, descendant. And he's like, what? And like this whole goes down a whole little rabbit trail. But like this show, like, it's so wholesome, and like surprisingly, like there are episodes that like straight up just made me bawl like a baby. And like it was this show like helped me get out of this kind of like weird depression I was in, very uncharacteristic of me. And like it helped me cry, because like normally if I wanted to cry, like I'm like, okay, let me just get a few tears out. I just watch a few specific episodes of Naruto. And if, not spoiling Naruto, but if you know Naruto, there are some certain sad parts of Naruto.
Yeah.
I'd go and watch.
We all know.
I would go and watch specific reactionary episodes of people finding out this person died.
Yeah.
I'd go and watch that, get my cry out, be healthy, happy, go on. But this show just like hit me so deep in the feels, and like it's a very beautiful love story, because eventually they learned like they love each other, and they love each other, and then it's like, hey, if I love you, I gotta let you go. And then he's trying to like figure out a way to get back, and like there's like this whole like dual parallelism kind of thing for only a few episodes, but like still like it's a very beautiful love story. There are some like death fake outs that like really cement the tears, and like, but like then you find out like there technically was kind of permanent death. So like it's a really beautiful show. It was 2006. It's a very old show. It's very dated. It looks old. I love trash shows, but it looks trash. It's pretty trashy, but like there are some episodes that like really connect with me. And then like if you like Toradora, it's a very similar show. So yeah, that's my guilty pleasure. I've only watched it as a whole, the 3 seasons, one time, but like there are a few episodes that I go back to all the time.
All right. Well, that has been
the Anime Enthusiast Podcast.
Thank you for listening.
And join us next time when we talk about anime and anime and anime.
And anime.
And maybe some more anime.
And Morgan. No, I'm kidding. Thank you again, folks. You can catch us on our social medias. I'm at the Wise Polish Man on Twitter.
Magic Ranger on Twitter.
Magic what?
Magic Ranger.
Oh, okay.
One cool Asian _ on Instagram.
There you go. All right. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.